Yes, thank you. Started cheering before we even said a word. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to another very special edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Last episode, it was all about the Royal Rumble, and boy, was there a mixed bag overall. And now today, or for this episode, this past Monday, we get to see the fallout of the Royal Rumble. We saw Charlotte Flair cut a promo. We're going to get to all of that. We're going to get to Jey Uso, the Yeet Man himself. Did Monday Night RAW deliver in the post-show for the Royal Rumble events? We're going to speak about all of it from top to bottom in today's show. But if you guys have not checked out our Royal Rumble review, it is on all of our platforms right now, so make sure you guys go check it out. It is on Spotify, it is on Apple Podcasts, and it is on our YouTube channel. And speaking of our YouTube channel, make sure you guys go subscribe. 5 more subscribers left until we hit 300 subscribers. So spread the word, hit that subscribe button, get your boys to 300 subscribers. Thank you guys once again, of course, as always, for supporting the platform, for supporting the community, and make sure you stay tuned for more content to come. We got some AEW to talk about. We'll save that for this weekend. And of course, we got SmackDown, the post-show, Royal Rumble post-show for SmackDown, and then many more shows to come leading up to Elimination Chamber, which I believe is March 1st. March 1st, it's going to be in Canada, by the way. So March 1st for Elimination Chamber, which we will also do a review show on. Special guest, ? Don't know. Could be in the works, but stay tuned for that regardless. But for today, it is all about Monday Night RAW, and we will save, again, some AEW talk later on this week. So, Brian, let's jump into it, man.
Yes,
there's a lot of still questionable stuff from in the show, and I'm thinking, all right, let's see. We're officially on the road to WrestleMania, even though you can argue that the road to WrestleMania started a long time ago, but now we're like, they got that beautiful freaking WrestleMania sign up now. Now it's WrestleMania season. What did WWE and this company to kickstart the road to WrestleMania? Well, let's see how it played out. We start off with Jey Uso, the Yeet Man himself. And guys, I shit you not, we just yeeted for several freaking minutes, what felt like 20 minutes to start off the show. Pat McAfee is going berserk. Freaking Michael Cole is right beside him trying to match his energy as always. And then as soon as I thought the yeeting stopped, he was about to cut the promo. The crowd is chanting for it again. And he gives them to it again. And we start eating for another freaking 90 seconds. And then finally, Jey Uso is about to cut the promo. So Jey Uso, he gets emotional, talks about, thank you guys. Appreciate you having my back. Cutting this sentimental promo, which, listen, again, regardless of how, we feel about Jey Uso as a talent, much love to him. Absolutely. Yep. Kudos to him. But he's cutting this promo, and Gunther comes out, which you kind of knew that this is where the stage that they're at. They're going to tease some of these Mania matches. Most of them we kind of already know it's going to be set in stone, as Jey Uso mentioned that he's going to go to SmackDown to confront Cody Rhodes. Like, that's actually going to happen, but they're going to tease it anyway. But Gunther comes out, man, and I can't help but think, Brian, when what he said in this promo is just utterly just true to a certain degree. He just talks about how, like, this matchup, like, if I were to face you again, like, this holds no stock. This doesn't build my legacy. You know what could have built up my legacy? Maybe beating a CM Punk, a John Cena. And I can't help. I'm like, I laugh because I'm like, it's true, bro. Like, this match holds no weight, holds absolutely nothing. But Gunther goes on, and then Jey Uso, says some more words about, hey, I'm sick and tired of saying that, I didn't deserve to win the Royal Rumble, that I'm just a tag team guy. Pretty much everything of what people all over the wrestling community have been saying about this decision. So Jey Uso goes on to say a couple more words and talks about how he's going to walk in at WrestleMania as the Royal Rumble winner, and he's going to walk out as main event Jey Uso as world champion and doing more of his freaking yeet shtick. And that's it. And then Gunther with a little snarl, and then Jey Uso walks off, and that's pretty much how we start the show off, man. Again, guys, listen. So my words are going to be just as the same if you guys haven't seen the Royal Rumble review, man. I like Jey Uso. I respect Jey Uso. But the fact that you guys have to sell me, or this company has to sell to me, a Gunther Jey Uso match that I've seen multiple times, and let's face it, was not interesting. They didn't want to give a shit about it at Saturday night's main event, so why should I give a shit about it now? I'm sorry. It just, the matchup was not interesting. They didn't want to put any stock and effort into it. That's why it was on Saturday night's main event. And within that same match, you're going to build that up for 2 months, and we're going to do what? We're just going to yeet freaking nonstop. We're just going to freaking dance and sing along like we've done with Seth Rollins' shtick for many moons now. It's just like, guys, come on, man. It's like I said it from the Royal Rumble review, and I'm going to say it now, man. We can go and do a different version of a Daniel Bryan underdog story. But guys, the most important thing about this is that it's not always about the Daniel Bryan underdog story. One of those types of stories comes once every so often in a blue moon if it's done correctly. But guys, it's about the matches and the storylines and the feuds that are going to truly draw and feel like WrestleMania. You had that with Rock and Roman. You had that with Cody and Orton potentially. You even had that with Cody and The Rock in a one-on-one match, even though we were kind of 50-50 about it. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and the promo that they cut legit sold a WrestleMania match within that freaking promo. And this company thought it was a good idea because, we went the obvious route, the bizarre route as well with Charlotte Flair. Let's go an unpredictable route. But the problem is you went unpredictable just to be unpredictable. And now you're just backtracking everything. Now you're blurring the lines because now you have Punk and Cena in an Elimination Chamber match that is completely botched now. And I'm getting more in depth into that.
I can add a third person to that already, specifically because it's actually probably two people, KO and Sammy.
KO and Sammy, exactly, probably. Yeah. And we'll get to KO and Sammy later. So yeah, man. Again, listen, the promo. I have nothing against the promo. I'm sure a lot of that is how Jey Uso personally feels. I'm not going to take that away from him, and kudos to him. Much love to him. Again, he's part of one of my favorite tag teams of all time, the Usos, man. But I'm sorry, guys, and this may be a hot take. As a tag team guy, this dude is a tremendous performer. As same with his brother Jimmy. But I'm talking both of them, Jay and Jimmy, as singles performers. They do nothing for me. They yeet. They do this grand entrance, and guys, that's where it ends. And I'm not saying that Jey Uso is not talented. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about the character. Read my lips and listen to my words. It is not Jey Uso's talent that we have a problem with. It's not that we don't think that he is deserving, guys, because all I heard from this crowd in Cleveland, again, you hear it all the time, Brian, when everybody wins a championship or accomplishes this massive accolade. You deserve it. You deserve, like, guys, I can go through a list of people that have bust their ass for 10 plus years. People like an LA Knight.
And he's
people
one
like
of them, to be fair.
And he's one. No, I'm not saying that he's not deserving, but guys, if we're basing it off of, Jey Uso deserves it. Okay. LA Knight was a top merch seller, because if we're also going off of merchandise sales, LA Knight was a top merch seller over Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns in 2023. Where was the outroar for LA Knight when his freaking booking was taking 2 steps backward? What about Chad Gable, to where this dude was finally coming into his own out of the Shorty G shtick, right? And freaking Otis, right? Otis was on the verge of getting just as over as freaking Jey Uso was, because they completely botched his storyline with Chad Gable. So if we're basing it, guys, off of merchandise sales and freaking and being deserving, guys. Like, we got to cut the shit. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, I'm pretty sure, was selling merchandise way back in the day. So dude, and there's a reason why Vince McMahon never booked him to win a fucking Royal Rumble, guys. Like, there's people that we like, right? And you can be the biggest Jey Uso fan. That does not mean, guys, because he's deserving and he sells merchandise, that he should have won this freaking Rumble, man. I'm sorry. The facts are just the facts. When you have so many things that could have brought WrestleMania a spark, you're going to go with Jey Uso in a rematch to Gunther that nobody even cared to begin with, and that this company put no stock into it to begin with. And that's just it. And I'll speak more about it later. But Brian, what are your takes on this opening segment to start the show?
Yeah, I'll start with like kind of reiterating what you said with Jay, man. Again, the deserving and the moment and the real life emotion for him as a human being. Like, I mean, you got to think about even within his own family when you got The Rock and Roman and Umaga, Alpha, Sika. Like, you know, there you get a sense and a feeling where, like, even within his own family, like, you know, he's not, you know, he maybe was overlooked. You know, he wasn't the star of the family. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for him to, yes, he's busted his ass and he's worked and worked and worked and, you know, the ups and downs and the roads, and to have that and to see that real life emotion, man, much love to Jay and everything.
No doubt.
But again, to the wrestling part of it, you're right. It, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say, you know, heading into WrestleMania. Like, really, like the human being in me is so, like, really, I'm glad. Live this moment up, Jay. Like, fucking, because it's coming around once in a lifetime, and fucking live it up. Absolutely. But yeah, with Gunter and this match, if that's, I mean, because I don't really see a legit route. You know, they're gonna switch it to Cody. You know, I don't know, but so you can really assume, you know, it's going to be Gunter and Jay, and you're right. We've seen this match. Even with Gunter's character, you know, just what's been going on with him recently, you know, kind of at the end of last year where it was getting weird, and now he seems to be back in like the ring general,
right?
And now you're going to have him maybe lose to Jay at Mania. It just, yeah, I just think that it's an awesome personal moment for Jay and the family and all of that. And none of that should be overlooked or taken away. But the storyline and how we're getting here and the purposes, and I've even talked about, which would also be weird because it is main event Jey Uso, that when it comes to Mania and the two nights, the main events don't necessarily have to be the championship match, but I would assume since it's main event Jey Uso, it is going to be the main event. So I just think it's just WWE's, you know, booking here, you know, that's just okay. But shout out to Jay, even Gunther back in his more serious, you know, ring general role, which, you know, both and I have talked. I mean, that's where he needs to be. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
I don't want to say needs to be, but he knocks it out of the fucking park, man. So
yeah.
I
mean, guys, like, they legit had Gunther go out there and say, like, this match does nothing. If you were to choose me, like, at WrestleMania, this match does nothing for my legacy. Like, baiting John Cena, Roman Reigns, a CM Punk, that would have added to my legacy. You wouldn't even, if you were to have to put that in the promo, that just tells you, bro, everything you need to know about this situation. That shouldn't even been a thought process to put in that situation. Oh, but James, but at least that they're acknowledging it. So it's real. So it's, you know, they're acknowledging that, that people are saying what they're saying. So they're going to put in the promo. But the fact that they are putting it in the promo for Gunther to say this stuff tells you everything you need to know. And it's
even
just,
again, sorry, even going for Gunther, like him saying that, like, he is 100% absolutely correct when it comes to him and his legacy and his like, okay, so he goes to Mania. it's only going to be remembered if he loses, right? If
Right,
he
exactly.
wins.
Yeah,
So,
that's why he's not
you
wrong.
know, he's right. Like for him to take the next step in his career, right? He's got to have a moment again, a win, or maybe not even necessarily win, but against a Cena, a Punk, a Roman. You know, yeah, he's right.
Yeah. Sir, yeah,
Yeah,
man. It's just I just don't understand how we've gotten to this. Like you had to seriously like up this up to completely just like listen, if people are excited about this, good for you. Like honestly, I'm not going to throw shade at you. If you are seriously excited to watch this potential matchup with Gunther and Jey Uso, and most likely Jey Uso is winning this championship, then good for you. Like, I'm not going to legit take that
right,
away from you. But don't be shocked, guys, that there's a lot of people that are just not behind this decision. Because now, guys, the narrative is that, like, oh, like Jey Uso, he's now won the Rumble. Now everybody's fickle. Now everybody's turning on Jey Uso. Guys, it's not Jey Uso
right,
himself.
right,
It's the booking that is fucking horrible. It's horrible. If you wanted to do a Jey Uso Gunther match, you had to do it in a different way to where it doesn't feel redundant and it doesn't feel just like this matchup, guys, is no better if it was on a Monday Night Raw, a Saudi show, another Saturday night's main event. You're putting this on WrestleMania out of
right,
all freaking stages. That's the problem. We saw the matchup not even a week and a half ago. It did nothing to anybody. And you're going to now tell people, like, hey, we're going to have the same match at WrestleMania. Now you expect us to give a shit now? That's the
right.
problem, guys. Like, don't be shocked that so many people are not fond over this decision. And just because Jay is selling merch and just because he deserves it because he was a tag team guy and he built his way up to this stature, and again, that's good for him. But bro, I can go down the list of people that are
Mhm.
just as deserving as Jey Uso. Not deserves it more than Jey Uso, but just deserves it just as much as
Sure.
Jey Uso. And that's just it, man. That's just it, bro. You had Punk and Cody in your lap. You had Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton in your lap. You had Rock and Roman, right? To where everybody bitched and whined and moaned and complained, to where Cody Rhodes has got to finish his story. And we've had to prolong Rock and Roman to where I don't even know if Rock and Roman is even going to
Yeah,
happen
I
at
don't
this
know.
point
I
now.
don't know.
Because it's just like Triple H. There's sometimes you listen to your fans, and then there's sometimes to where you just tell them to say, shut up. This is what you're getting. Relax and enjoy the fucking ride. That's what you do, right? But yet we have to complicate things, and we want to play cute, and we want to, take different avenues and like do like the hard route or go just the weird, bizarre
Yeah,
route
right,
instead of
right.
just
Yep.
keeping things simple, bro. You had matches and storylines that were sitting in your lap that the match and the feud told the entire story to begin with. Don't
Yeah.
complicate it, bro. Just fucking pull the trigger. But because you went the Charlotte Flair route, it's like, oh, it was the obvious, predictable route. You tried to do the shock factor just to do the shock factor. And now, like, it's just, and nobody's interested, right? It's like, you can give me down the line of like, oh, well, James, they've been doing this and this and this with Jey Uso. But guys, there's not a lot of people that are interested. There's just not. And if you want an example, go on social media and see how many dislikes Jey Uso and Charlotte Flair have gotten from social media, a YouTube clip, a YouTube video, and see how many dislikes that freaking video has. Because, guys, nobody cares about Jey Uso and Gunther, and nobody cares about Charlotte Flair going after another fucking championship. Nobody
Yeah.
cares anymore, man. This is WrestleMania. There are no more freaking mulligans, man. It's time to pick things up. And right away, Brian, it's been a massive botch to start off, and it started off at the Royal Rumble. And this is what we're going to do. Jey Uso's going to come out there and yeet for several freaking minutes. We're going to use it as filler to fill up the show for the next 2 freaking months. And this is what we're going to get, bro. I hope everybody's happy. Seriously, I really do. Because if your bar is just that low, that's because that's the problem, Brian. It's not the fact that people
Yeah,
don't like it or
kinda.
dislike it.
Right.
Like we gotta have a bar. Like it's WrestleMania, dude. Like if Jey Uso and Gunther, out of everything else that could have been more captivating and gained more interest, seriously, like where is the freaking bar? Is what I ask, bro. And that's it. So I'm done.
I'll close with this. Like, if Jay does, raise that title at WrestleMania, the personal story and journey, I'm happy as shit for the man, and I'm gonna celebrate the shit out of that. Absolutely, I love those
Yeah, we'll
moments.
all be happy for him.
But
Absolutely.
but for the wrestling product of a weekly show, it's not going to have a long shelf life. It's just, and I'm not even going to go down, but again, we've mentioned it. Yes, the groundswell is the yeet and that connection, and I get it, and I love it, but that's going to run its course, man, and you got little to nothing behind it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as talent. I don't mean that as Jay's talent.
It's not talent. No,
right.
It's not.
Right.
It's not. Absolutely. It's the shtick, and it's just the redundant cycle. And you can see it already, bro. For several minutes, they're going to have Jey Uso go out there, whether it's through the crowd or whether it's through the entranceway. We're going to yeet for several minutes. They're going to draw that out because it's filler, right? It's easy way to fill up a show. Let's just fill up the show with Jey Uso's entrance.
3, 5, 7 minutes, commercial break, and come back.
Seriously, bro, for several minutes to start the show, this is how we started off, bro. By everybody just freaking yeeting, man. It's I'm sorry, man. It's ridiculous. And this is the same thing we did with Seth Rollins' shtick. The Seth Rollins story, he would come out there. Yep. But mainly, honestly, Seth Rollins. Because, yes, you're right about Cody Rhodes. But Seth Rollins, man, he would go out there. Everybody would sing his song. And, bro, I swear to God, for several minutes, that's all you would hear is, whoa, like that freaking shtick, to where now I have to mute the television because I can't listen to it anymore.
Right, and then everything that followed, right? Exactly. I'm a revolutionary. Yep, mute that shit.
And once that started to slowly die down, guys, we realized, oh snap, maybe Seth Rollins wasn't as over as we all thought he was. Maybe it was just because that it rested on one metric, the character, not the talent. The metric of the character, and that was the song, and that's all they had. And once that ran its course, bro, that was it. And guess what? That's going to be the same thing with Jey Uso. When that shtick starts to run out, give it a couple more months, a couple more months or so. I'm telling you guys, man, there's going to be nothing else. Fans are going to be like, all right, we get it, the yeet stuff. All right, what else you got? I'm telling you, because we now also live in a microwavable society. People will get slowly sick and tired of that because we've done it with Seth. This is the same thing with Seth. It's going to be the same thing with Jey Uso. And like you said, Brian, they're going to have to go back to the freaking drawing board. And if this is what we have for Mania, man, I might as well honestly skip it. Seriously, I might as well honestly skip it, bro. But time will only tell. But that was the start of your show.
Let me, and we can move on and just yes or no. Because it was kind of a shocker, surprise. Jay won, right? You think there's any possibility that he goes to SmackDown and somehow we get a Jay and Cody match at Mania?
No.
Any possibility?
I don't think so. No. That would just be more baffling than freaking just doing Jey Uso and Gunther in a rematch of a rematch again. It would make absolutely zero sense. No, they'll tease it, right? They'll cut this cute little face promo. Maybe they might shake hands and give each other mutual respect. But I don't see that happening. No, I don't.
Same.
That's just as more believable as Charlotte Flair going to NXT, thinking that she's gonna freaking cash in to win a WrestleMania match for an NXT championship. Like, no, that would just be absolutely just weird. But yeah, man, it's just, listen, people, whether you like Jey Uso, whether you dislike Jey Uso, you may love Jey Uso getting this moment. That's great. But guys, all I ask is that don't be shocked that people are not fond over this decision, that they're just not captivated by Jey Uso himself, because I'll be honest with you, at least for me personally, Jey Uso as a solo competitor does nothing for me. He just does not. And I'm not saying he's not talented. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that for a lot of people in this shtick as a solo competitor, for me, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, he just does not do it for me. And when you put that in with Gunther in a rematch that I've seen already and had no interest in it whatsoever, what makes you think that me and many others are now going to be captivated? Because it's WrestleMania. It's Yeet Mania. Fuck off, dude. Stop.
Let me point this out too. Go back and watch when Stone Cold did his what gimmick. I mean, this is the same thing, right? Stone Cold would say something really, I'm gonna stomp a mud hole in him. Pause. The crowd would go, what? Jay's doing the same thing. Say something real quick. Pause. Yeet. It's the same thing.
Yeah. It is the same thing, but you know what? I can't. Here's where, with that comparison, Brian, because it's funny you mention that, because I know a lot of people will make the same comparison. Stone Cold, man, still checked off a lot more boxes as a solo act than Jey Uso. That's what I mean. That's what I mean, right, man. So for people to say, and I don't blame you for bringing that up, because the shtick itself, yes, there's a massive similarity of a comparison. But when we talk we're talking still Stone Cold Steve Austin, bro. That checks off still so many boxes. Oh, and we're comparing that to Jey Uso, guys. Like, come on, man, stop.
I just meant that the cadence, the cadence
in the right, exactly. And even for LA Knight, dude, even LA Knight with his shtick, LA Knight, man, as a solo act, he checks off so many more boxes as a solo act than Jey Uso. Chad Gable checks off so many more boxes as a solo act than Jey Uso. This is just a freaking fact, man. This is just a fact. And guess what? All these people have been fan favorites. All these people are just as deserving. All of these people have sold merchandise, mainly LA Knight. He was a top merchandise seller over Cody and Roman combined. Where's the outcry for LA Knight? You know who was the only person, Brian, out of the few that were to say anything about LA Knight's booking? You're looking at them, both of us actually too, but you're looking at both of us that said it from day one, from that Money in the Bank review. Why in the fuck did you not give that Money in the Bank briefcase to LA Knight when he was legit white hot? This company does not and refuses to read the fucking room at all.
Oh, we'll get into that big time.
And we will get into that, Ron. Yes, very, very shortly.
Read the fucking room, bro.
Absolutely. Before we get into that, let's get into the first matchup of the night. This will be pretty quick here. Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser. Penta wins this match. Penta gets on the microphone, is about to speak on the microphone. Pete Dunne comes out, and then Ludwig Kaiser attacks Penta from behind. And Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne share like a stare off as they walk up the rampway or something like that. And that's pretty much it. Okay, cool. You're giving Penta all these victories and stuff. That's great as a solo act. I think that's tremendous. That's awesome. As you should be doing to pump up Penta. So, guys, let me get this straight. So we did Penta and Chad Gable. That was the first matchup. We've already seen Penta and Pete Dunne before. We've seen now Penta and Ludwig Kaiser, and now we're going to go back to Penta and Pete Dunne in a fucking... Guys,
bro.
Like, seriously.
Triple threat.
Or a triple threat again. Like, seriously, guys. Is this... okay. So, like, again, man, all I ask is, right, I love how the winning victories, right, the entrance winning victories, they have that down pat for Penta. But now it comes to the storyline aspect. And now you're going to put him in with Pete Dunne again, and you're going to mesh him in with Ludwig Kaiser. We've seen both of them, right? We've seen Penta and Ludwig Kaiser now in a match, and now we've seen Penta and Pete Dunne in a match. Let's be honest with you. I think we can all agree that Chad Gable and Penta has been the best match out of both of those two combined. And now you think it's now a good idea for Penta, for what's going to be involved for Penta. So let's just mesh now Kaiser and Pete Dunne together. Guys, do you remember when Pete Dunne was in a feud with R-Truth? Because the feud was that he was sick and tired of being called Butch. That was the feud. Like, that's not me trying to sugarcoat or paint a narrative. That was the feud. So you've already dug a massive hole for Pete Dunne. Who is going to give a fuck about this, guys? Who? Nobody. Brian, what are your thoughts? What are your takes, man?
Yeah, I'm baffled a little bit. A couple different ways. Let me start with Ludwig. I've been on here many times, right? The tail end of Imperium, I guess the tail end of Imperium. Ludwig was really coming on, man. I really, he was taking that next step. And then, shit. No, I can't think of, why am I drawing a blank? Gunther kind of goes and does that weird thing. And I guess Imperium's, not a thing anymore.
Right.
And so now you have, I think am I frozen?
No, you're good now. Okay. You're good now.
Sorry, I was distracting. Anyway, so now you have Ludwig kind of coming back out here doing just lost in the shuffle. That's where he is. He's lost in the shuffle again. So I don't know what you're doing with him. I still think because Gable's still, I got to go meet with this luchador legend. So I still think they're coming back to Mania, probably with Gable and Penta somehow. But now you're right, just Pete Dunne and Ludwig, what's going on here? I don't know. So that's where I'm at with everything. I do think they're going to come back to Penta and Gable. But Ludwig, what's happened with him? And Pete Dunne, he's been in this position for a year or two now. So yeah.
Moving on. Let's just move on now.
Right.
Let's just rip the Band-Aid off, right? Let's talk about your women's Royal Rumble winner. Charlotte Flair comes out and cuts a promo. Was responded by a plethora of boos. I love you guys. I missed you guys. That's all you heard when Charlotte Flair cut this promo. She's trying to cut, guys, a babyface promo and saying, I love you guys. I missed you guys. And the more she said that, the more the crowd booed her even louder. And then mid-promo, guys, she has to turn freaking heel in this freaking promo.
She's glad you mentioned that. Go ahead.
Seriously,
ahead,
man. I'll get to you, Brian, in just a second.
Yeah.
So the crowd continues to boo her, and she says, whether you boo me, whether you're wooing with me, it doesn't change the fact that I'm the greatest star in this industry. So go ahead and boo me now. And shears of more boos came along. Guys, this was hard to watch, man. This is so fun. Yeah. When is this company and Charlotte Flair going to fucking learn, man? You can turn her face. You can turn her heel. It doesn't fucking matter. People are sick and tired of this freaking agenda narrative that you have painted for 10 freaking years, guys. And we have officially hit rock bottom with this shtick now. Because I have never seen a faster heel turn in my life in history. Seriously, I have never. Yes. This might be a record, Brian, to where even before, guys, and this is not the first rodeo with Charlotte Flair. So, and we'll get further into this segment in just a second, but this is not the first rodeo, guys, with Charlotte Flair. The last time that Charlotte Flair had a hiatus, right? She came out and the crowd was also booing her. She's trying to cut this promo. She's like, God, she has to stop the promo and say, guys, I'm trying to be serious. Stop booing me. Stop. If you have to get to that point in a promo for you to tell the fans to say, stop, I'm being serious. Are you wutting me? Are you booing me? Stop. I'm trying to be serious. That's where it should click and say, we got to do something. And nobody wants to do shit, Brian. It is baffling to me how listen, we're not talking heel heat, it's fun to boo her. Guys, this is booing to the point to where get the fuck off my television screen because we are tired of your shtick, not the talents, right? We've said about Charlotte Flair many times that she is talented, but for you to paint this perception that she is the greatest, that she is a Flair, that she is a 14-time champion, that every time she comes back, she is in this title picture, that she is blocking 4 lanes of the highway from this women's roster for her to be thrusted into a championship picture because it's Charlotte Flair. And I get it. She's a blonde. She's tall. She's an athlete. She looks really good on all the freaking trucks and all the posters and the billboards. I completely get it, guys. But at some point, you gotta read the freaking room. You got to read the freaking room. You have to do an overhaul because people will say, oh, well, James, but she changed heel mid promo and she's better as a heel. I'm not going to argue that, but guys, it's now going to take more than just turning her heel to fix this, guys. You did it with Roman Reigns. They've done it with The Rock when he was Rocky Maivia. You've done it with Stone Cold in the past. You've done it with so many when Cena came into the scene as ruthless aggression, where he said multiple times and almost got him fired. We have to now change this perception, this aura of Charlotte Flair, because the disconnect is getting larger and larger and larger to where I almost feel bad for her, Brian. I seriously do. I really seriously do. Because she's trying to be a baby face, and then all of a sudden she's like, you guys don't get it. And she's slowly now turning on the crowd, and they had no choice but for her to pull a 180 at this point. So at least you can say there was that in that regard. But guys, it's getting worse and worse and worse to where people, whether she's a face or a heel, nobody wants to see it anymore. Nobody. And it's going to take a massive overhaul for you to change the aura and the connection that Charlotte has with this fan base. And you know what, Brian? And people will say, well, just blame the company. And the company deserves blame. But you know who also deserves blame? It's Charlotte Flair herself, because you have now been here, Charlotte, for 10 plus freaking years. And now you have a freaking say to where you can't argue or think that I'm stupid, that you're going to go out there and think that you don't feel a certain type of way when you're cutting these promos, that you have zero connection whatsoever. And you're going to continue to go through week after week thinking, oh, everything's great. I'm on the posters. I'm on this. I'm getting the limelight. I'm getting the booking. Like, you can't sit here, Charlotte, and tell me that you think that this is authentic and you think that this is working, because it's not. Charlotte, it's not. It's time for you, Charlotte, to look at yourself in the mirror and say that, you know what, I need to waltz into Triple H's office or whoever in that freaking company and say, you know what, we got to change something, because Brian, I can't, and so many other people, we can't do this anymore, because for you to continue to block 4 lanes of the highway with all of the plethora of talent in NXT, people like a Sol Ruca, a Jada Parker, a Roxanne Perez, a frickin' a Delta, a Stephanie Vacuor, a Julia, the main roster, you have Bianca Belair, you now have Jade Cargill coming up, guys, right? All of this plethora of talent, and you for 10 years, right? We would be saying, we would be all over the place if this was still Vince McMahon in charge, because we've done it before. So we spoke out about Vince McMahon and this booking about Charlotte. And now with Triple H, man, we need to have the same energy, man. And we need to have the same energy towards Charlotte. Before I get to you, Brian, let me at least finish up this segment here. So, I never thought I would be so happy to hear Rhea Ripley's theme song in my life. Rhea Ripley comes out, and it's the same thing with Jey Uso and with Gunther. They're going to tease a potential WrestleMania match, right? A rematch between the two, in regards to, Rhea, I guess, now being the baby face and Charlotte being the heel. So they say some words, and that was pretty much the segment, man. I'm sorry, guys, for a Cleveland, right? This is Cleveland, Ohio, to a city to where they were bound to give anybody a really positive roaring chant. And even for Charlotte, they're like, oh God, her, we got to her Royal Rumble victory. We got to listen to her, guys. It's bad. It is bad, man. And we
Yeah.
got to change something, bro, because this past Monday was an all-time low. Whether you like Charlotte or not, you may love Charlotte Flair. You cannot argue that there is a massive disconnect. And this was an all-time low. And this was legit for her character, this shtick. This was rock bottom. And Brian, to a degree, I legit feel bad for her. Seriously, to a degree, I seriously feel bad for her.
Yeah,
but at the
yeah.
same time, I don't, because at this point, Charlotte should now have a say to where she should read the room and say, you know what? Yeah, this is not working. We got to do something about it. And until that happens, Brian, nothing's going to change, man. They're going to continue to do this same shit. And if Charlotte Flair is not realizing what's going on, then nothing's going to change. We're going to keep doing this for another 10 more fucking years. And that's it. I know that was a lot, Brian, but what are your thoughts about this promo from Charlotte Flair and with Rhea?
No, I feel the same, man. I mean, as much as it's that secondhand embarrassment, feeling bad, like watching it, like man. I mean, I don't like or we come on here, we can have your problems with this and that or whatever. Like, I'm not looking to relish in somebody else's failure. It's
No.
that's hard to watch when she's trying to do her thing, and it just. But you're right. Like, this is a decade now of like, what the fuck? Like, you have to know this. And I'm glad you said that at the beginning too, because I mean, real wrestling fans or that are actually paying attention. Like, I feel like anytime Charlotte comes back now, I don't know what creative's doing, but I feel like, hey, whenever it is you go out there for your first promo, we don't know if you're going to be face or heel. Just go out there and start talking, and we'll decide right then and there. Because in the beginning of the promo, that this was not her being sarcastic or whatever. She was trying to cut a face promo.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have you got to switch it, like, boom, like that. Because you can't just continue doing which just barreling through it.
Absolutely.
And that's where you're at with her. So yeah, that's it was hard to watch. It's maybe this is the low point. I don't know, and it sucks, for it to be genuinely this is a return. She's been gone for what? She's been gone for a long time now. I mean, a year and a half.
Almost well over a year now. Yeah.
Yeah. So part of me feels for her, but goddamn, at the same time, I mean, fuck, bro, you can't just come in here every single fucking time and whatever, either demand or be handed title shot after title shot after title shot. Like, fuck.
Yeah, man, it sucks. And again, man, like, even though, like, listen, I've said it before, like, I've never been the biggest fan of Charlotte Flair, right? And we're not even talking fandom. Like, this is not at the point to where, like, we like Charlotte Flair, we dislike Charlotte Flair. It's not even at that point anymore, guys. It's just the fact that it's just not, the shtick is just not working. There's no connection at all. And people can say, well, James, she's better off as a heel. Maybe something can go. But guys, we've done this though before. We've been doing this stuff. She's
her legit last return.
Yes, her last exactly. Return. She has turned heel, guys. She has turned face and heel more times than probably the Big Show. Seriously, and the Big Show has turned heel and face a lot of fucking times.
They definitely would rival each other.
Like, it is going to take a massive change, like you did with Roman Reigns, man. Like you did with Rocky Maivia. Like you did with Stone Cold Steve Austin, like you've done with a plethora of talent. You have got to go back to the drawing board. You have to go back to square one, because this shtick is got to stop. It's not working anymore. And this is the road to WrestleMania, guys. So I'm telling you, there's no more mulligans at this point. That's why you hear such an outroar about this, man. There's no more mulligans. It's not the holidays anymore. It's no longer football season anymore. It's WrestleMania season. This is where you're gaining viewer. This is where you gain back your casual fans, your audience. It's WrestleMania season, and this is where you kick things into high gear. And it's stuff like this, Brian, to where ever since Monday Night Raw has gone to Netflix, they have lost already half of their audience since their debut show on Netflix. This is why, because of this freaking product. And it's mainly now because with Charlotte Flair being back in the title picture and in this grand stage is the main fucking problem, or at least part of the problem. That's all I can say, man.
Time, and I did too. Her last return, when James, you had mentioned it, where she has to stop and say, I'm trying to be serious. That was her last return.
Right.
This return, she had to change the promo mid promo. That's her last two returns, guys.
Absolutely. Like, guys, think about it. This is not like rocket science. This is not Einstein shit. This is legit. Like, it doesn't take
wrestling dum-dums.
It doesn't take a wrestling journalist or an expert to see what is going on here. Like, this is not some science project here. This is bad. It's you, Brian, like people listening. You shouldn't have to listen to us for us to tell you that. You should see it for yourself. And this is where we're at, bro. Seriously. I do feel bad for Ashley herself.
Yes.
Because I know how she has worked hard to get back into an ACL, and because it's a serious injury.
Yes.
But at some point, Charlotte,
work, man. Yeah.
Listen, Charlotte, you are tremendously athletic. You are talented. Nobody is denying that you are not a decent talent, right? We've said that about Roman. Even though we didn't like the big dog character, we always saw some glimpses of good of what Roman Reigns can bring to the table. But Charlotte, it is up to you at this point, because this company is not going to do it at this point. It is up to you to look at yourself in the mirror and fix this shit, because the longer this goes, the longer the disconnects, or the bigger the disconnection between you and the rest of us fans is. And that's just the fact, man. That's just the fact. So yeah, man, just one of the worst promos I've ever heard
it was
in my life. It was fucking brutal. We talk about Rhea Ripley's brutality. That was our fucking brutality.
Right.
Was listening to that fucking shit. And like you said, Brian, the last time she came back and had to tell people to stop booing because she's trying to be serious. If it's that low, guys, something has to change. And me and Brian shouldn't have to tell you to get to that conclusion. And it shouldn't have to get Charlotte Flair to get to that conclusion. So it's been 10 years, man. Something's got to give. So let's move on. We've hammered that enough in regards to it. All right, let's get to the New Day, man. The New Day in a matchup against Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Logan Paul was out there and pretty much cost LWO this match as the New Day picks up the W over LWO. This is pretty much teasing a match for next week. It's a Elimination Chamber qualifying match. So Rey Mysterio takes the pinfall from this matchup, so the New Day gets the victory. So, I mean, look, I'll say this briefly. I mean, look, I get it. A lot of people don't like Logan Paul. A lot of people would prefer not to just watch Logan Paul. I completely get it. But I've always stated that Logan Paul, even at his age and even regardless of what you want to say about him personally, this dude can bring a lot to the table in regards to what he already knows. And for you to have him on Monday Night Raw, which is a very rare occasion, you don't see this dude on the WWE product. And when you do, this is what you got. You had him just blatantly just cost Rey Mysterio a tag match, and that's it. Like, I'm okay. Like, Logan Paul's on the show. I'm expecting something to happen, and it was with the LWO. Come on, and the New Day wins, and that's it, man. So Logan Paul is going to most likely win this Elimination Chamber qualifying match. He's going to be in the match whether we like it or not. He's going to win the matchup.
He's for sure in.
I just don't like. I just think it was just a waste of a segment, man. Just to get to to hype up a qualifying match next week. It's just, come on, man. If you're going to utilize Logan Paul, you got to create more of a spark and a headline than that. So that's all I'll say. Brian, what are your takes, man?
I plead the fifth. I'm gonna plead the fifth. Next topic.
I feel you, bro. I feel you. And honestly, I would be the same way. I mean, this
There's
did
not much to
nothing.
say. I mean,
There's not
storyline
much to.
wise, or whatever. It's just
And look,
okay.
right. I feel
Yeah.
you, bro. Yeah, I completely feel you. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way too, man. Let's qualifying match next week. Cool. Logan Paul is going to be in it. Cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
And that's all we can say. Up next was another qualifying match, I believe. This was Io Sky and Liv Morgan in a qualifying match. Rhea Ripley gets involved. There was a backstage segment to where Rhea and Io kind of had a little bit of a moment like, oh, hey, maybe I'll see you at WrestleMania. This was shortly after the Charlotte Flair promo earlier on in the night. They were attacked by Raquel and Liv Morgan. So Io Sky's coming into the match, banged up or whatever. Mid-match. And again, they put on a decent match. We've seen this at Saturday night's main event. It didn't really wow us, but it was a good match. Both ladies were doing their thing. Rhea Ripley comes out there and she's throwing bows. She's throwing hands with Raquel. And then Liv gets involved. She clocks frickin' Liv, which forced a disqualification. And that's when frickin' reality was setting in with Liv. She's like, oh my God, I just qualified. They hightail it out of there. Rhea Ripley tries to go after them. And then Io Sky and Rhea have this moment where like, oh, you just cost me a chance at WrestleMania. What are you doing? And then Io Sky walks off. So I don't know if this is potentially teasing this matchup to where if they are going to have Charlotte Flair in a title match, it's going to be with Tiffany, as Charlotte is also going to be on SmackDown teasing a potential match with Tiffany. And this is, I guess, teasing a Io Sky and Rhea matchup. I mean, okay. It depends on how you do it. I mean, listen, I love Io Sky. I like Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley, I can't really say she does much for me in regards to her shtick and what she's involved in. But, at least it's a way to keep Liv Morgan face and for her to win matches, and it keeps Io Sky face, I guess. I don't know how you can have an Elimination Chamber match and not have Io Sky in it, unless they're going to do like Brian, they'll do like a last chance qualifier. And that's how Io Sky kind of, because they do this shit all the time. So right. I don't know if they're going to do something like that, or like Rhea's going to try to go to Adam Pearce to be the good simpleton and to help out Io Sky get another opportunity. So I don't know, man. I mean, take it or leave it, I guess. So I'll just leave it to you, Brian. I'll take it or leave it, I guess. What are your thoughts, man, in this match?
Well, I think you mentioned it, you hit the nail on the head last segment, man. It's the Charlotte Flair problem.
Yeah.
I would much rather, there's been this kind of like, Io and Rhea helping each other out, and now, Rhea cost her the match, and whether they help each other or, I would much rather see Io and Rhea at Mania. Fuck yeah. But you got Charlotte now, and Charlotte's getting the title match. And so if you're giving her to the title match, the only one that makes sense is Rhea. Like, no, I don't want to see, Tiffany and Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? No interest in that at all right now. So that's where, I don't know where you're going with Io. Maybe she still gets into the Elimination Chamber, but yeah, I'd prefer to see Rhea and Io at Mania, but then I guess you get Charlotte and Tiffany, and I don't know.
Like you said, Brian, about, potentially there is still hope that you could see Charlotte and Rhea. I know, shout out to Bald Bro. He's mentioned that. He talked about that in our roundtable not too long ago. To where if you go the Tiffany strat, or if you do go the Rhea and Charlotte route, what does that leave for Tiffany? And this company thought it was a good idea to say, hey, have Nia Jax, instead of getting her revenge on Tiffany and keep adding a spark and building momentum with that feud, let me have Nia Jax go after Rhea's championship for several more weeks. It was just like, it just doesn't make sense, man. So you're absolutely right. It definitely goes back to the Charlotte Flair situation, to where a lot of things are just now just completely just out of the ordinary now. It's just, it's weird. Like everything's in left field with the hockey stick. Everything's kind of just like all over the place now. To where now you got to throw Io Sky and Rhea Ripley in a teasing a potential match maybe in the future. Io Sky just turned face. I don't know what a face Io against a face Rhea is going to do for Io, even though it sounds cool, no doubt about it. And I much would rather prefer that over freaking seeing Charlotte Flair doing another title match to surpass another championship, freaking accolade. But man, it's just weird, bro. It's just really weird. Like I get what they were trying to do in this situation. I get it. But still, man, like with Io Sky, she just turned face. You put Rhea Ripley in this face persona. I don't know what this is going to do for either or of these ladies, mainly for Io Sky, because obviously Rhea Ripley is she is arguably the top face now, and she is the champion. So clearly she's going to get out cheered by Io Sky, and I just don't know what that's going to do for Io. So who knows, man? And again, who knows what SmackDown, they're going to do the same freaking promo segment to where, I could see you at WrestleMania. Charlotte's going to be like, you know what? I have so much respect for you, Tiffany, but guess what? I'm a better blonde. So they might mention like a better blonde, like referencing hairstyle and similar stature. Like you're just like me, right? I see a lot of me and you. I'm telling you guys, I can see through this company, bro. That's exactly what they're most likely going to do. And listen, if you are going to go the Charlotte and Tiffany route, I just ask, man, just please, for the love of God, you just didn't build up Tiffany Stratton at this point just to give the title back to Charlotte. I swear to God, man. I swear. Because I don't think they'll do that for Rhea. I too, if they were to do a Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair match, because she just won that championship, Rhea Ripley, I highly doubt that because of the stock that they do have in Rhea, that they were to take that title from Rhea Ripley. But from Tiffany Stratton, on the other hand, man, and then they're going to try to play it off and say like, this is going to do wonders for Tiffany Stratton. No, what the fuck it's not. No, it's not.
And regardless of who, Charlotte wrestles at WrestleMania, she should take the L in my book. I don't care if it's Tiffany or Rhea or
I agree.
Fucking Io or Nia or whoever.
I agree. Absolutely. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
man. Absolutely. So this matchup, Liv, Io Sky, take it or leave it, man. Honestly, I mean, good for Liv Morgan. You still got to try to build stock in her. She's going to be in this matchup. I still do think that Io Sky should be in this match. I'm sure she'll find a way.
I'm sure she is, just because her wrestling style for the spots she can do.
Exactly. And she's one of your top players in this freaking women's roster. I don't know why you wouldn't have her in there, especially with Damage Control, with already, we don't know what's going on with Asuka. We know, obviously, Dakota Kai is unfortunately back on the shelf. It sucks. I feel bad for Dakota Kai, man. That woman has the worst luck ever that I've ever seen in a women's wrestler. Like, it really does suck. So much love to Dakota Kai as well. So this matchup, man, again, take it. Same with the whole freaking tag match with New Day and LWO. It's like, moving on. I just don't care. I just don't care, man. There's no substance. There's hardly any really substance. There was a little bit of substance there, but I don't know what that substance is going to do for Io's sake, because she's a face and potentially going up against another face that's Rhea. So I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Seth Rollins comes out. He's in his attire. He looks like that Macho Man and Undertaker had a child. That's pretty much what his shtick was. It's actually one of his best looking attires. It actually
didn't look bad. Yeah,
I actually dig it. Actually, finally, freaking Seth decided to put on a decent outfit with the freaking cowboy hat and all. So whatever he was going with, man. Hey, Seth, I'll give you this little golf clap.
Maybe stick with that. Maybe work, some kind of gimmick. Maybe you're onto something here.
Something, man. So Seth Rollins, he addressed what happened at the Royal Rumble. Like, he talks about, congratulating Jey Uso, of course. And then he goes along the lines of people like, CM Punk, talking about CM Punk and talking about Roman Reigns. And then he talks about himself and how he didn't get the job done at the Royal Rumble. He didn't win the Royal Rumble. And he calls out Sami Zayn. And this led to the main event match, which was CM Punk and Sami Zayn, face versus face, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. It's another face versus face matchup, but it's a qualifying match. So Rollins is calling out Sami Zayn, and he gives this little pep talk, this speech like, hey, like, you're freaking Sami Zayn. Like, this dude was talking CM Punk now, referencing CM Punk. He's like, listen, it's no secret that I don't like Punk, but, he said to you that you weren't on his levels. Like, dude, you are levels upon levels above CM Punk. You are freaking Sami Zayn. I need your A game, man. I need you to knock him out of his chances of winning a championship and main eventing WrestleMania. That can't happen on my watch. I need you on your A game. So he's still in this face, I guess. What do you want me to call it? He's still trying to portray himself as a face, but you can slowly you can see that it's slowly starting to go into a 180 with his character, you can say. I actually didn't mind this segment at all. It was one of the best. Yeah. It was actually one of the best segments probably of the night. And that's saying a lot about the show. Yeah. That says a lot about, honestly, the show in its totality, but this was a good segment. And Sami Zayn doesn't really say anything. He's just like sitting there going like, all right, man. Okay. You're it's kind of weird of what you're telling me, but okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down, but you're acting a little suspect of how you're, delivery is, of how you're delivering the message to me is what Sami Zayn's facial expression is. So, and then Punk comes out and he has some exchange of blows with Seth Rollins before Seth Rollins hightails it back through backstage and in gorilla position, and we get into this matchup. It was CM Punk versus Sami Zayn. This was a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. This was your main event. Punk wins this match via the go to sleep. Wins this matchup as Punk was going to win this matchup, as he should have been in the Elimination Chamber. And I can't help but think, Brian, I'll get into what happened post-match here, but I can't help but think, man, I'm looking at the graphic of both Cena and Punk in this chamber, and I'm like, why the fuck are these two in this chamber match, dude? How can Triple H have botched this so hard? And listen, we talk about John Cena, right? And I'll get into that just for a brief moment, right? John Cena's like, oh, John Cena didn't need to win the Rumble. John Cena hasn't won a match in so long. Like, it wouldn't make sense. I'm like, guys, I don't give a fuck if John Cena hasn't won a match since the Ice Age, dude. If he was going to win any match, Brian, and honestly, and this is why I mentioned, like, hey, if I had the booking pen, I'd give John Cena the Royal Rumble. Because all he's got to do, because you're right, he hasn't won a match in, like, legit since probably 1945. So all he's got to do is just toss people over the top rope. That's all he's got to do. And he punches his ticket to WrestleMania. And now we're going to believe that he's now just going to go through a plethora of your top talent in this industry, and he's just going to win the chamber? Like, what fucking booking, man, is this where you have Punk and Cena in this chamber matchup? Like, you would be really bad at your job if this is the scenario that you're at, because we have to please the crowd, and we have to please the crowd and yeet at nonstop for several months. And this is the situation that we're in. So that's my 2 cents there. But so after the match, it gets more baffling. You had mutual respect between Punk and Sami Zayn, because it's WWE, it's Triple H. We gotta show mutual respect and handshakes after every matchup. You know what I'm saying? That's just what we got to do, because that's just pro wrestling now. And then Punk's about to leave the ring. Kevin Owens comes out, blindsides Sami Zayn. Then that leads Punk to go over the second rope as he got knocked off out of the ring. And then Kevin Owens attacks Sami Zayn, hits his package pile driver, and that was your show. And Kevin Owens stands tall over Sami Zayn, and that's your show. Kevin Owens, guys, attacks Sami Zayn. In 2025, we're still getting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the same fucking ring, and this is how you end your show. Brian, I don't know if you remember this or not, Brian. There was a stipulation between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I believe this was 2016, 17. I believe it was Battleground. They legit had to put this in a storyline to where, like, oh, this is the last time ever, right? The last time ever you're going to see Kevin. They put that in a storyline. And guys, not even 6-7 years later, it's 2025, and we're still getting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the same ring, bro. I don't give a shit if they're a tag team. I don't give a shit if they're feuding against one another. What do you expect these two to do that we haven't seen before? Oh, but James, it's not going to be at WrestleMania. It's going to be at the Elimination Chamber. And I get it. They could potentially to where it's most likely still going to be Kevin Owens and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, to where Randy Orton's going to come back. He's going to try to get his revenge on Kevin Owens for taking him out. And that's going to be most likely Kevin Owens' WrestleMania matchup is with Randy Orton. I completely get it. But if you're telling me that we need to get there by seeing Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn again, because you have all this plethora of talent backstage, every single talent backstage, you can't come up with one iota to keep these two separate for just like several months to a year, like 2 years even. Like, you can't, like, I find that hard to believe, man. Nobody cares about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at this point, because you have done everything, including giving them a stipulation that it was going to be the final time they fight against each other. And in 2025, they're still fighting against each other. I mean, guys, and that's how we end the show, man. It's just, I'm just baffled. Brian, what are your takes, man, on Seth Rollins' promo? I'll have you start there, and then, of course, the matchup itself and Kevin Owens to end the show.
Well, so I'm gonna start in reverse. Let me start with the end of the match and KO and Sammy. Because we had speculated, how the Rumble ended, what was going on there. But, so I guess the obvious storyline they're going with now, or going to go with, is that, yeah, Sammy was out there, but he didn't do anything. And that way, he didn't stop Cody from climbing the ladder and, whatever.
Doing the Alabama slam and putting him through the ladder. Yeah.
Yeah. So KO, attacks Sammy, and I fully hear what you're saying, but I'd rather KO and Sammy, I'm okay with in the Elimination Chamber, because it's not a 1-on-1 match. There's going to be, 3 other people, and so I hope that's it, because you're right. I still think it's Orton and KO. I mean,
that's the least that they can do. It just don't put it at WrestleMania. So I definitely hear that. Yeah, it's fine.
Right. So I'm okay with that. Hope they do this, and then it's whatever. But it's also involving other wrestlers. So yeah, that is what it is. So Punk and Cena being in the chamber. Cena or Punk. This is what I'm saying. I don't know why. Okay, so this is the way I'm taking it, right? Heyman owes Punk. He just owes Punk a main event spot at Mania. That doesn't have to come with winning a match or any match. So he didn't need to win the Rumble. He doesn't need to be in the chamber. He just needs Paul Heyman to get him, in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena. Fucking, and I know he's the wrestler of a generation. I get it. But even going back to the Rumble return, years and years ago when Rock made the comment of like, John Cena is he is Scooby-Doo Fruity Pebbles, and he can't help himself sometimes. Like, he's goofy to the point of like in movies, sometimes like he's fucking hilarious, right? But then you get into the wrestling ring, and like when people's music hits and his reaction, and even when it was him and Jay on the end, at the Rumble, and his selling of like, it's just, he's goofy. You're fucking goofy. And he overdoes it and plays up that goofiness. His facial expressions, like, ooh, I'm eliminated. Like, it's just, you're fucking goofy. So, God, I don't know. Like, they're going to do this thing with Cena where, yep, he didn't win the Rumble. He's not going to win the Chamber.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, and it's going to come right up to like he's going to lose something else, and then right at the last minute, oh, I'm victorious and I get my way into WrestleMania somehow, and that's what it's going to be, because that's the John Cena story, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't need him in the chamber. So yeah, I don't know where that's really going involving all that, but Sammy and KO in it, I think that's a good call. And now we get to, Rollins and the interaction with Sammy. We had mentioned his wardrobe and his shtick, and, all that, has needed to change for some time. if it's a heel turn, it's a heel turn, but something with Rollins and you know, whether it's kind of aligning with McIntyre or whatever is going on, something just needs to change with Rollins as well. Get away from his theme music and the whoa. If he's a heel, he's a heel. Make him a badass heel that he can be. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with all those. You know, that whole main event and the Elimination Chamber and Sammy and KO. Yeah, man. I think especially with the Punk thing, like I feel they really need to start leaning into this, you know, the Heyman thing more than
They really,
a
yeah.
spot in the Rumble or a spot in the Elimination Chamber, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And that's why, and going what you said about Cena, right? It's just like him winning the Rumble is just more believable than him winning the Chamber. And that's
Yeah.
what I talk about Punk, is where Punk, he could win the Chamber,
Sure.
right? To where it fits more of Punk than it does Cena. But you're
Yep.
absolutely right, man. You can kind of, it's again, we're doing this underdog story with Jey Uso, and we're going to do this underdog story for Cena. He's going to scratch, he's going to claw to get to his 17th world championship, man. That's exactly what we're going to do, guys. Like, guys, and he's going to do what? He's going to continue to constantly put talent over. Guys, we've been doing that, man, for years now, since John Cena has been away from, you know, winning titles and winning main events, guys. We've been doing that with Austin Theory. We've been doing that with Solo Sikoa. We've been doing that with many people. Nothing has worked. And do we really expect for a full year that they're going to draw this out with Cena? Because he's also, because as you can see, the next time you're going to see Cena is going to be at the Elimination Chamber. So we know that he's not going to be on television on a consistent weekly basis. So do we truly expect this company to tell this story correctly and for us to feel a certain type of way about Cena and do this correctly, right? And then he wins the title, right? Which is great, as he should at this point. But guys, I'm telling you that people will say, like, oh, what's the rush of Cena winning the title? Give it to Jey Uso and win the Rumble. Guys, the rush is that he's retiring this year. You have him win the championship at WrestleMania. He should have won the freaking Rumble. All he's got to do is toss a motherfucker over the top rope. That's all he's got to do. And he goes to WrestleMania. He wins the championship. You have John Cena, right? He said it in the press conference after the Rumble. He's like, it's time that I start doing what I say that I am, and that is being John Cena, because I'm what's best for business. And he wins that championship, and when the timing is right at the end of the year, then he drops the title to whoever WWE sees fit to give them the ball and rock with it. That's what you do. But instead, he's going to win the title later on the year. He's going to relinquish it, and then all they're going to do, we're going to do the same song and dance to where we're going to have a tournament for the championship, just like how Seth Rollins won the world championship when it was first started, when it was first created. If Cena is going to win his 17th championship, this is a grand accolade. There is no better stage than WrestleMania, dog. You don't do it on Monday Night Raw. You don't do it on SmackDown. You don't do it at a house show. You don't do it at Saudi Arabia. You don't do it at SummerSlam. You don't do it at Survivor Series. You do it at WrestleMania. And that's why, Brian, I keep saying that the Jey Uso Royal Rumble decision was such a botch, and it's so stupid, because now you're going to, like you said, they're going to continue to prolong this with Cena to where you had Gunther and Cena sitting in your lap. And Gunther said it in the promo. He's like, dude, this would have added more to my legacy. You in a matchup with me does absolutely nothing. You shouldn't have to put that in the freaking promo. That's how bad this situation is, bro. And that's it. And like you said about Seth, and to where I'm already hearing that WWE is planning on doing a triple threat with Roman, Seth, and Punk.
Yeah.
Guys, what in the fuck, man?
Right.
There is nothing on the line. James, what's wrong with that? It's a triple threat. They all have beef with each other. Guys, there's nothing on the line. If there's nothing on the line, Roman Reigns' situation, right? Roman and Seth, it has nothing to do with Punk. Seth Rollins and Punk, it has nothing to do with Roman. And Seth Rollins has nothing to do with Punk and Roman and the Paul Heyman situation, which is the favor. So what are you doing meshing all of these people together? It makes no sense. If there was something to fight for, That makes sense. That's why Punk would be inserted in this situation, or Roman would be inserted into this situation, because they're all fighting to get something. They're not fighting for anything. It's just you're meshing people in a match just to mesh people in the match, because you don't want to do Roman and Jacob Fatu, and you effed up some way somehow.
Roman and Rock is off the board.
Roman and Rock is most likely off the board. Yeah, I think at this point, I mean, who knows? Things can maybe change at last second, but it seems to me also, Brian, it's like WWE has been relying on what The Rock's plans are. Like, is he going to be a part of WrestleMania? And they're doing things on the fly to where, like, oh, if Rock is not going to be at WrestleMania, if Rock is not going to do this, all right, we'll just do this on the fly and do this and this and this. That's how it feels like, bro. And the problem is, it's WrestleMania. This is not some schmuck type of freaking event. This is WrestleMania, dog. And we're resting on what The Rock is potentially going to do with his other projects and with TKO and his movies or whatever the fuck he's doing. And we're holding on what he's doing, and Triple H is calling things on the fly, and it's not connecting, and it's all over the place. And we're going to put Punk and Rollins and Roman together. How does that make sense, man?
Yeah.
It doesn't. And it's just weird, bro. If you want to do Roman and Seth, I mean, you're already doing rematches galore, so fucking why not? And why not Punk and Rollins? That's another rematch. I would rather see that than you throw a triple threat fighting for absolutely nothing than what? Bragging rights? Come on, man, stop. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Let me end with this about Cena.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I know you followed it. Has he ever won the title at Mania, any of his championships?
Yes, I think it was WrestleMania 21 against JBL. That was, I believe, his first world title victory not too long ago. And I'm have to think there had to be another.
Yeah.
Was it WrestleMania 20? I think no, maybe it wasn't WrestleMania. I'm thinking it was another WrestleMania that he won it in. I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but I know it was with JBL. This was WrestleMania 21. That was his first world championship victory, was against JBL at WrestleMania 21.
I'll just say this about Cena, and I get your point. I mean, there is no bigger stage than WrestleMania. However, for Cena, and this is his last year, whatever, I think if he were to win at Mania and then presumably carry it throughout the year, I think that's too long. I think he'll win it at SummerSlam. He'll win the title at SummerSlam, drop it at Survivor Series to whoever they decide that they're going to try to put over, or
whatever. Shoot, you can do, like, listen, you can have him win the title at Mania, and then, like, not saying you have to go all the way to December to, like, have him relinquish the title, but have him maybe relinquish the title for a couple months, maybe at SummerSlam or maybe a little bit after SummerSlam, and then that's going to be
too long, though. Like,
you think so?
Think about John Cena, right? Or just the character. So Survivor Series will be sometime late November, right? And then we're getting into the holidays. So he's going to drop this title, and then the last month or so is the celebration of John Cena,
Right. I don't know, man. I'm just sick. Listen, man, I want to see Cena just be John Cena, man. Like, I'm tired of just him just putting talent over, and they're going to drag, like, you're doing multiple underdog stories now. You're doing it now with Cena. You're doing that. That's why I'm not against it, man.
I totally hear you. I just think that's because to elevate the dramatics of John Cena, right?
I get it. Yeah,
lose at Mania, finally gets it at SummerSlam, and then right as he's going out at the end of the year, that's where he's going to lose it.
I just think it's stupid, man. I just think it's stupid, bro. Like, I'm sorry, man. For him to achieve that accolade, man, like, you're going to do that. What, later on in the year at what, like a Saudi show or like Survivor?
No, SummerSlam. It'll be SummerSlam.
You would think it would be SummerSlam. I mean, I don't even know if I would even want it at SummerSlam, man. I don't know. It depends on, I guess, how they do it. And that's the thing too. I don't trust this company to do it right.
For sure,
I just don't. because you can make that because a grand accomplishment. We're talking 17 world
He's
championships.
going to be the one and only. The one and only.
Right, the one and only. Why not do that at your grandest stage in your company? Fair. You would have freaking Ric Flair. You can make a big deal out of this, right? Ric Flair comes out, he like shakes his hand, right? There's the mutual respect that's called for, right? That makes sense. And then Cena hoists the title. You make that on a grand stage at a grand moment. That's a headline, man. And then you have Cena hold on to that title because, guys, listen, I get it. That's what they're most likely going to do. They're going to drag this out, and then Cena's going to win the title later on in the year. I completely get it. But, man, guys, I'm just so sick and tired of John Cena not feeling like John Cena anymore. Because you're right, Brian. There's times to where John Cena does come off very overly animated, right? And on the microphone, dude, like, I'll be honest, like, this dude is just like, it reminds me of how good John Cena actually truly was at his craft, right? And you mesh that with actually him backing it up, right? Actually backing up and remind people, even in this generation, of how good John Cena is. Like, that just adds. And I get it. Like, you want to feel for John Cena, right? You want to be along for the ride for his 17th title reign. I completely get it. But, guys, we've been over this, man, about John Cena putting over this person and putting over that person and putting over that person to where, like, John Cena just comes off as a goof. Like, he's – go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to clarify. Like, so when I said, like, at the end, he's going to, SummerSlam, whatever, or I'm sorry, Survivor Series –
yeah,
that time when he loses the title, like I don't think it's going to be like a favor trying to put somebody over per se. Like, it's going to be somebody that's, at least somewhat established, and you know what I'm saying. It's not.
Oh yeah, no. Especially if it's at SummerSlam, it should be. Yeah, it should.
No, I mean when he loses it. When he loses it.
Yeah,
like,
when he
I don't
loses,
think it'll be something just like, hey, we're going to try to put over this next superstar. It's going to be a storyline and mean something.
Right.
Do
you have an idea who that person could be?
Right now, as much as I hate to say it, if I just right now off the top of my head, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he would do face, whatever. But it'd be Jay fucking Uso. Don't have him win at Mania. It'd be Jay Uso. That's the only person I can think of off the top of my head. Bronson Reed, whenever he comes back, if he's back soon enough, and goes on a little bit of a run.
Cody Rhodes. Oh no, well, I don't want to say Cody Rhodes. Oh, Cody. They talked about a matchup, but I don't think. I don't know.
Even again, whenever somebody's winning the title, I mean, a Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre would be a great a great idea.
Yeah.
At least like if you're going the route of like picking somebody that is already established, that needs that extra layer, right? That does need that extra.
Gunther, maybe it's Gunther.
I guess Gunther, yeah. And then so that's the thing. Like, why didn't you have him win the freaking Rumble?
I know.
You see what I'm saying? Like, oh my god. I know. So we could come up with so many people, man. But I just think, man, it's botched. I think everything in regards to what's going on in this company, man, it's botched. And it started with Jey Uso winning this Rumble. And now everything is all over the place. You got to call audibles. You got to throw freaking your top main event stars in a triple threat with no championship, nothing on the line.
God, please don't let that be a Mania match. For the love of God. Really, Rollins, Reigns, and Punk in a triple? No, man. No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely, yeah. It's so odd. You got freaking, again, a Jey Uso Gunther match, man, that nobody cares about. You got Charlotte Flair back in this freaking title picture. Like, listen, if people are excited about WrestleMania, much love to you, man. And all I ask is that don't be shocked that just a lot of people are just not interested. They're not interested. And there's just a certain bar, man. We're talking WrestleMania. This is not SummerSlam. This is not Survivor Series. This is not the Royal Rumble anymore. We're past that. This is WrestleMania. This is where you develop the best storylines, the best feuds, to what's going to not just enjoy, to captivate people. We talk about things that we enjoy, but we also talk about things that captivate us, man. And there is a plethora of feuds and matchups that you could have captivate people, but this is the route that you're going, man. And we wonder why Monday Night Raw, since it's joined on Netflix, it has been losing viewership nonstop. Oh, but James, cable television, the ratings don't matter, right? The ratings don't matter on cable television, streaming services, right? Okay, well, look at their streaming numbers right now. And what do you got to say, guys? What do you got to say? What are the excuses? There's no more football season, right? They're on a streaming service. What's the excuse, guys? Yeah. There's none. There's absolutely none. But they're making record revenue, right? We can't forget about that, baby. Brian. We can't. Their largest gate in freaking in WWE history at the Royal Rumble, right?
Wait until you hear the WrestleMania gate, baby.
Oh, the WrestleMania.
In Vegas,
fucking A,
wait
man.
until you hear that.
You are going to hear plethora of shit when it comes to WrestleMania and all the money they're going to freaking make with that shit.
Yeah.
Oh man, and don't forget all the other endorsements, right, and advertisements that they're already making with people like with Prime Energy, right, and freaking I don't want to mention. Oh, I guess I'll mention his name. Freaking Hulk Hogan and his Real American Beer and all this other shit, right? Yeah. Like that's just what it is, man. And you know, and who knows? I don't know if this has anything to do with Jey Uso because the timing of TKO and it's all about the endorsements and the money and what's making the most money and the fact that Jey Uso is bringing in some type of money with his merchandise. I don't know if that decision has anything to do with it, but again, man, I can't use that excuse because LA Knight was a top merchandise seller 2 years ago, man. You could have arguably say that he was just as deserving as Jey Uso is, man. But Brian, this is the situation we're in, man. It's WrestleMania season, and I can't say that it's off to a great start. And guys, the numbers and the ratings will all prove it to you. But yeah, go ahead, Brian. Your final thoughts.
I'm just saying going into the Rumble, right? I mean, we'd had the Rumble show. I mean, really, not since back in my, late teens, Stone Cold, The Rock coming up, was I really that excited about the Rumble with all that and heading into Mania. And now, Jay and Charlotte, and it's what?
Exactly, man. Exactly. So yeah, man, we're not off to a great start with this road to WrestleMania. We're just not, guys. I mean, if you like it, that's fine. But again, man, you can't tell me and you can't be shocked that a lot of people are just not on board. And this company, man, needs to start reading the room because social media views, clicks, ratings will all just tell the story for you, is that a lot of people do not like what's going on right now. And this is the road to WrestleMania, man. We're not off to a good start. And I don't know if I see it getting better at this point moving forward. We'll see. But the way that it's going, I just don't see how.
When's Mania? Probably somewhere around April 15th, 20th,
April 19th and 20th is WrestleMania night 1 and 2. So we still got long ways to go, man. I completely get it, but we are not off to a good start, man. We're not off to a good start at all. So yeah, it's bad. If we're all being honest with ourselves, this is a rocky start to the road.
Rocky. Yep.
It's rocky. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. This was your full Monday Night Raw review. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys see the banner down below. Make sure you guys go follow us on social media, Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, we are now officially 5 subscribers away from 300 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. And for people out there, y'all got to know 5 people out there some way, somehow. And if you do, spread the word, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also stay notified for when an episode will be published out. And of course, we got Elimination Chamber to talk about. We got some AEW stuff to get caught up on and to talk about. And then, of course, we got WrestleMania and a roundtable event for WrestleMania, which is already set in stone with all the guests that we have involved. So a lot of content coming your way as we're nearing the end of winter season and going into spring season. So lots to come, and make sure you guys stay tuned for all of it to come. So Brian, final thoughts, man, before we end the show.
Just as always, thanks for everybody sharing, tuning in. And like James said, man, I know you guys know 5 more people. Other than that, man, I look forward to this weekend. I'll be catching up a little bit on AEW. I'll be going probably my first solo show. So I'll be coming back at you with probably focusing on AEW. There's a lot to talk about there.
Lots to talk about. So we'll definitely get into a lot of AEW over the next several months. We got AEW Revolution coming up, so there's going to be a match card to talk about there. And of course, like I said, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, plethora of stuff to talk about. So make sure you guys stay tuned for all of it to come. That is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
Until next time, there will be a next time. Your boys are signing off, saying salute.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody. Top guys, we are out.
Out.
Flair with the skin is dry and pale. The pain will never fail.